Gold and silver extended their losses on Thursday after turning volatile in the previous session. Earlier this week, both the precious metals suffered their biggest rout in over 12 years. And now the concern is that the historic rally in gold and silver had run too far, too fast. Stocks also struggled for direction as a raft of earnings reports provided a mixed picture of corporate profitability. Gold tested the $4,000 an ounce mark on Thursday after sliding below $4,020 in the previous session's wild swings that saw the yellow metal slump almost 3% and then recover slightly. On Tuesday, the precious metal tumbled as much as 6.3%, the worst slump in 12 years. Silver was lower after swinging between gains and losses on Wednesday, following a 7.1% plunge on Tuesday. Gold erased over $2.5 trillion from its market value. Just to put the loss into context, over 100% of Bitcoin's market cap. The yellow metal also marked its largest two-day drop since 2013. Back then, the yellow metal showed a similar trading pattern. Concerns about gold's rapid rally in 2013 led to a steep fall, similar to the moves this week. But gold is still up about 55% this year, and silver's year-to-date gain is about 70%. President Trump's aggressive moves to try and reshape global trade and heightened geopolitical uncertainty have underlined the move higher in precious metals this year. In fact, central banks keen to diversify away from the dollar have been buying bullion. The long-term drivers that brought gold to successive record highs remain intact, and analysts still expect prices to resume rising in the coming months. However, in the short term, Citigroup expects further consolidation to a touch below $4,000. That even as other major banks like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan bet on gold to surge above $5,000 by the end of this year and $6,000 in 2026. Citigroup strategist saying, quoting, eventually the older part of the gold bull story, continued central bank demand to diversify away from the US dollar, may come back, but at current levels, there is no rush to position for that. Shifting focus for now to the daylight heist of what happened at the Louvre Museum, putting the spotlight on a dazzling jewel with a rather mysterious past. A gem so legendary that even thieves at the Louvre reportedly failed to steal it. The precious jewel, which was placed alongside other priceless Napoleonic-era treasures, is worth over $60 million. But the story of this diamond begins far from Paris, deep in the Kolor mines of the 17th century India during Aurangzeb's siege of Golconda. In fact, as per a news outlet discovered in 1687 during Aurangzeb's siege of Golconda, the Regent diamond carries a haunting legend. A miner, desperate to save the gem, hid it inside a leg wound but was tragically killed. In 1701, the rough stone was sold to Thomas Pitt, then governor of Madras. Pitt secretly shipped it to England, where it was expertly cut and became known as the Pitt diamond. By 1717, he sold the diamond to Philippe II, the regent of France, marking its royal journey. The diamond helped fund wars and was famously set into Napoleon Bonaparte's sword in 1801. After Napoleon's exile, it was mounted for Empress Eugene in 1814, and since 1887, the diamond has been on display at the Louvre Museum. But it is just one chapter in the story of India's priceless jewels scattered across the world. From the Kohinoor, now set in the British crown jewels, to Tipu Sultan's ring, Shah Jahan's exquisite cup, Maharaja Ranjit Singh's bejeweled horses, each piece telling you a tale of India's lost grandeur and enduring legacy. King Charles has become the first head of Church of England to pray publicly with the Pope. Both King Charles and the Pope held prayers at the iconic Sistine Chapel in Vatican City and left the ceremony together. They also shook hands outside the chapel after the prayer service as a gesture of unity. Post the service, King Charles set off for next engagement on his brief state visit. Charles and Camilla later visited the Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls, where King Charles was formally made a royal confrater of the Abbey in a solemn service, a title that recognizes the long-standing ties between the British Crown and the Benedictine Abbey attached to the Basilica. The monarch sat on a special chair bearing his coat of arms during the ceremony, and while leaving, the royals exchanged pleasantries with those gathered outside. The moment especially where both the public figures have come together to pray is nothing short of historic, but one also rich in symbolism. King Charles, who is the titular head of the Church of England, met with Pope Leo, the head of the Catholic Church, for the very first time since the Pope was elected 5 months ago. And this also makes King Charles the first British monarch to pray with the Pope in nearly 500 years. Since the Reformation, after the Church of England split from Rome, prior to the service, the UK King and Queen had a private audience with the Pope shortly after they had arrived in the Vatican City. The royals also reportedly exchanged gifts to mark the historic occasion. Security arrangements were tightened as the royals had arrived in St. Peter's Square in the Vatican earlier. That had been nearly emptied by security forces. The motorcade carrying both the king and the queen were escorted by a series of black cars. Both received a grand welcome on arrival as the national anthem of the UK rung out as a welcome gesture. The visit by the royals is significant on many counts, aiming to forge closer ties between the Church of England and the Catholic Church. Both these institutions have been divided for centuries over issues that include the ordination of female priests and LGBTQ+ faithful. For the royals, this also comes as a respite amid a turmoil over the Epstein sex scandal that names one of the members of the royal family, Prince Andrew, in a trafficking case where a woman alleged that Andrew assaulted her on 3 occasions, twice when she was just a minor.